Hey guys, I want to do a quick video for you on how to replace the inner door pull handle on a 2012 BMW 328i. Now this, obviously you're looking at this, if you're watching this video you probably have this particular issue. There's a coating here on this particular handle that's falling apart and it's getting all sticky and gross when you open and close the door. Obviously that's unacceptable on a vehicle like this. This is actually something that seems to be known by BMW, and they continue to use these types of parts, or this part with this particular coating on it. You can tell if you jump in forums how many other people have had this issue on vehicles that are several years older. So you can tell this has been going on for a while. So the fact that this is going on is pretty ridiculous. So this is the OEM part. One thing I want to show you too as well, if you look closely, there's actually plastic under here. So all this sticky stuff is a coating that comes off after several years of use. Apparently the sun does damage to it, and hands and lotions and that type of stuff go breaking this down over time. Now this looks way worse than it did on my vehicle a couple of hours ago. I already replaced the part on my car, so I had like a rag around it and I was kind of forcing it and messing around with it, so it looks way worse than it did a couple of hours ago on my car. So I want to do this video because there's not much on how to do this. There's a couple other videos on how to swap this out on different vehicles in different years, but the procedure varies. So I decided, since I'm going to figure this out, might as well do a video, help a couple people out, and kind of put everything in one place. So I replaced this part using a third-party piece that I'll put a link to in the description. It's on Amazon, and I decided not to go with the OEM piece. Number one, it's about twice the price for each handle. So in this particular case, you can grab this piece for an OEM piece for about between $75 and $85 each handle. And I figured, one, I'd be paying more money. Two, it's probably going to happen again. And three, so you can see here, if I can focus on this clearly, you can see here and here, I had to melt those off, as well as here and on this end as well. So I had to melt that off, and you'll have to do the same as well when you take this off and it's behind your door panel. So reason number three would be that I'd then have to, I'm assuming it comes with a kit or something like that, but I'd have to then kind of solder these back on and weld the plastic again. So I didn't want to go down that route. So I bought a third-party piece. Again, I'm going to put the link in the description where I got it. It was a little bit of a hassle to find part numbers and kind of search around different places for the exact part that I need and that sort of thing. So I got it in 2 days using Amazon Prime. So if you have that, you're good. If not, it'll probably take a couple days and you might have to pay for shipping. Other than that, I don't want to say it's a straightforward process, but we can jump right into it, and I'll show you some of the steps I went through and kind of how I took this off and some tips so that it's a lot easier for you. So before I actually do that, I want to show you a couple things that you'll need as far as tools go. So I used one of these guys. You can use a heat gun if you want to remove the tabs on the back, or I use one of these and kind of just melted it off. So if you already have one of these, no need to buy a heat gun. You will need a torque set, which I have this one right here. This is something you can grab in Walmart for 10 bucks, and it's really useful, really good tool set. Doesn't come with that. So that's it right here. And then some plastic trim tools. So I got a set of 8, these 2 and 6 other pieces on Amazon for 10 bucks, I believe. So you have to use plastic trim tools, because if not, you're going to carve up the plastic trimming, the handles and leather and stuff like that. So 100% use plastic trim. So that's pretty much it. Again, I'll put the links in the description as well. And make sure you grab those two. You need a torque screw set, and you'll need something to melt the tabs behind the handle. So with that said, we will jump right into it. Hey guys, we're back. So I want to show you how to start off the process of getting the door handle off. Here you have obviously your plastic piece that's on top of the inner door pull. You can see here I've actually already switched it out. This is a new one. You can see there's nothing sticky on here, which is great. What you want to do is use the plastic trim tool set that I told you about and wedge a plastic piece starting up here and kind of going like about every inch or so, kind of digging in and kind of pulling out a little bit and going down about every inch, and doing the same on the other side. That way you're not pulling too much from one area and snapping a bunch of tabs on the inside or cracking this piece itself. That's how I did it, and you kind of go gradually kind of separating the two pieces out, and I think that's the best way. One thing to mention is I didn't only replace this handle, I replaced the passenger one as well, because they were both having the same issue. The ones on the back are perfectly fine, probably since they don't get used as much. But one thing to note that did happen to me, when I was taking these out, or taking this piece off, I did have about 2 or 3 tabs break off. There's a lot of different tabs, and you'll see once you take it off, but there's 4 main ones that go into these clips. It's like one here, another one here, another one here, and another one here, and there's another one down here. Those are fine. Those go straight into these clamps and press in. But there was about 2 or 3 other tabs that snapped off. I guess they're kind of like supporting pieces. Those aren't crucial to kind of the door handle being in place and kind of holding still. But I do want to mention that did happen to me on both handles, so that you don't kind of freak out. And again, it's fine if it breaks off. I don't really know if there's a way to do it without it, to be honest. And that's one of the other reasons why I recommend it, to kind of go separating the two handles gradually, rather than pulling on one end and snapping pins off. So once you get this plastic trim off, what you want to do is, there's going to be a hex bolt here and one down here, and you'll see it. You're going to have to use a hex set that I recommended. And once you get those out, then you have to start pulling the door panel off. Those are the only 2 screws that are holding in the door, and then the rest are kind of little brackets or tabs that you have to pop out of the door. I would start from here, only because if you start from this side, I realized that I had an issue where if you stick a plastic trim tool set here or a tool here and you kind of go pulling out, this side here is actually kind of flexible. So once you put enough pressure on it, it bends, so you kind of lose your leverage. This side is a little bit more rigid. So I would start here, and I think there's 1 or 2. There's one here, and one down here, I believe. And I'll show you how many tabs and where they are in a little bit, once I show you how the inside of the door looks. But that's pretty much it. There's only two bolts. Just pull this out. Remember to be careful with this, and then just pop off the tabs. And there's a couple of right here, up along here, is about 4 or 5 on the inside, kind of brackets where the door actually locks into it. So once you pull those out, you have to kind of pull towards you, and these come out very easily. And then you kind of lift the whole door panel up to kind of clear this thing. And that's pretty much it. All in all, it's a fairly easy process when you know how many contact points and screws and that sort of thing there are. So you could even see here, I already changed it out, but I have to kind of clean it up. This is some of the sticky stuff from the trim tools, so we'll get that all out. But yeah, that's how you start off, and then I'll show you what the inside of the door looks like. So I wanted to show you how this looks like on the inside before pulling everything off. A couple things to note. You got this little guy here. You got 2, 3, and 4. You got 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then you also have these little tabs here across. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just so you know, so once you pull all these little tabs out, you kind of have to pull this upper part forward, like kind of towards you, and then these things will pop out, and then you can slide the door up so that it kind of goes over this little guy right here. And so you have an idea as well of some of the cabling. So you got one cable running here, kind of locks into this position with this tab here, and you have this little guy here that connects that way, and then There's a cable down here actually that I pulled out, and this connects to the little light that's under the door. That little guy down there, and that's a super little simple connection just back here. So there's those three connections. So I wanted to show you those tabs, because if you don't know how many there are, it's a little bit more difficult to know where to pull. And also use a plastic trim tool for popping these out, so you don't mess up this border right here. If you use something metal, it's going to start happening. So I would definitely use the same exact plastic trim tool set that I recommend, or any other trim tool set, so you don't damage your door in the process. So once you pull these out, which I'm going to do now, I'll lay this flat on the bottom, and then I'll record another little piece of video so you can see which of these little rivets you have to melt off in order to take the handle off. So see you in the next little piece of video. So I wanted to add this piece in here. This, you need to take it out. I thought I would be able to take off this handle here without taking this out. You'll see in the other video that I put in the description, that I'll get to in a little bit, that they also take this out. So you have to take this out to be able to take this handle out. The right way to do it, I spent about an hour or over an hour frustrated because I was trying to pull it out from here. So this was in there like that, and I was trying to pop it up this way, and that does not work at all. It has to be from here. If you see this tab right here, if I can show you, actually it's the other way around. It's like this. If you see this tab there, that's the tab that you have to pull out. So you have to grab one of the plastic tools and then put it in this way, and then pop this little thing out. The way that I did it was actually from the back of the panel through one of the holes, and pressed it out with one of the plastic tools, and it popped out. But I guess you'd be able to take it out from here too. So do that. It's going to save you a lot of time and trouble. This whole door thing is really ridiculous, to be honest. The way that they put this on here was so excessive and completely unnecessary. You would think it would just be like one or two bolts here, and then like one here or something. That was not the case. You can see here I had to melt this off here, and this one off here too, which are not accessible without taking this out. So once this is popping out like this, you can lay this out here, and you'd be able to access those through here and through there. I don't know if you can see that. Those two holes. So I wanted to show you really quickly so you don't make the same mistake that I made, because I was having issues taking the handle off after I had taken this guy out, that guy out, and the bolt that goes here. I started taking off a couple of the other plastic tabs and melting them off, thinking that maybe that's where they were holding on to the handle still. So I just wanted to show you here so you have an idea. Don't take these off, don't melt these off, because they have nothing to do with the handle, essentially. So I needed then to put in screws in there to hold in the back piece, which is the arm rest on the door. So don't take those out. This one as well, and this one as well, don't take these out. So this is where this bolt is going to go, and so you can see how many actual contact points there are. There's that bolt right there in the center, and the two melted tabs that you can see that I had to melt off, which are these right here, and that bolt down there, which is the same as this one. What you see here is the actual new handle that I put on, so you're not going to see this. You can see here the handle is actually there, which is why you can see this protruding out. So just so you know that that's not how it's going to look if you don't have the handle on there. And then these two melted tabs, this one right here and this one right there, which is the ones that you can only access once you take out the buttons for the window switch, just so you know. So one thing I also want to add is I actually put back the panel that goes on top of here, and then it wasn't flush. So you could feel like the ridge, because the panel kind of locked in here, and there was a little bit of an edge that stuck out. So one thing you want to do is, when you put these little pins back on here, and these pins come with the new handle. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then there's this little guy in here. This little metal piece that you put in here. What I did was I took this little plastic piece. You can take anything that's flat, and then I would press this up. So I would push this little pin, the tab upwards, so that it's as high as possible up here towards the left side. So I did the same thing here, and I pushed that up, and I pushed all of them up so that they're closer to the top of this. So when you pretty much put the other piece on top, that goes on top of here, it'll be nice and flush, and you don't feel this edge, and you can see that separation between the two. So also keep that in mind. I want to go ahead and throw that in there as well. Hey guys, hope the video helped you out. So essentially, with about $100 and a couple of hours of messing around, you can swap these out yourself and not pay for the OEM parts or the dealership or a shop to swap it out for you. So again, I hope that helps. The goal is to keep everything in one video and make it as straightforward as possible. So hope that helped you guys out. See you in the next video, which there are other videos, because of course other things have to go wrong, like the door sensors for the comfort access, which I need to fix, and a pump for the window washer fluid that seemed to have gotten damaged because of Rain-X. And I guess you can see that in another video if you have that issue. But if you are watching this issue, don't put Rain-X in your windshield fluid tank. Really quickly, I had an issue. So my my low fluid warning went off. And of course, I bought some new windshield fluid that was recommended by the guy in the Auto Advance store. Not his fault at all. It's the Rain-X one that kind of beads up the water. Decided, cool, I'll do it. Put it in. Light went off. Perfect. And after that, about 3 days later, windshield was dirty. I used a fluid, and then right after that, the light went off again. So I'm like, it's impossible that there is no more fluid, since 3 days ago I put an entire gallon in. So I started doing some research. Looks like tons of other people had problems using Rain-X. So number one, you could either have the problem where your sensor does not register or read the fluid. Apparently there's something in the chemicals or the microbeading technology causes an issue with the sensor and the way that it was built, and it can't pick it up. So you're either going to have that issue, even though you have a full tank, it's going to read that you have low fluid, which is ridiculous. And number two, I read that if you use Rain-X and you leave it in there, that it could damage your pump for your windshield fluid. And of course, 2 days later, that seemed to be the case. I tried to siphon out the liquid, thinking it was in the tank. Took me a couple of hours. Could not get the tube into the tank for anything. It seems like there's some type of blockage or something that doesn't even let you stick a damn tube in the tank. So that was one issue. And then after exhausting everything, I started looking under the car behind the wheel, and I noticed it was damp. Then I looked under the car, and sure enough, there was a very tiny leak. Water or the liquid started to drip, and I realized, you know what? This was leaking out. So the timing was spot on. What I read in the forums was spot on, and it only took a day to happen, so it messed up my pump, what I can tell. So I actually have to go and try to dismantle some of the stuff and either fix the pump or replace it. Luckily the pump is not expensive. I think the OEM one's like 25 bucks. But I've seen in the forums some people that actually were able to fix a small crack in the pump using some kind of like water sealant, that kind of thing. So I wanted to add that in this video because that's important. So don't use Rain-X. It's ridiculous that you can't use Rain-X. It's ridiculous that that would mess up the pump. But of course, it's a BMW and things are going to go wrong, and you have to be able to fix them yourself or pay a lot of money to get them done. So yeah, so I'll see you guys in the other video. Hope you got something out of that, and take care. Bye-bye.